Houday Nation, what's up? Welcome to the Jungle Theater. That is Geoff and Josh. He's also known as G. My name starts with a G. We're new here, but we're not new to Bengals country, right? Houday Nation, if you will. We've been fans our entire lives, and we'll get into that and who we are and what we do. But Josh, we've been talking about this for a long time about doing this, and actually the day is finally here. Training camp is starting in a week from today, I think,
Yeah.
as we talk. So I'm excited to be doing this with you. How you feeling?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really excited. I can tell you this, getting on this podcast and getting this thing done is definitely a dream of ours. We've been talking about this for years. I've been a Bengals fan since 1985, 1986. Jeff and I were just talking about that. Cool part about this is that where I'm from, I am 398 miles away from Paycor Stadium, but I make that place my home. Uh, That's Uday Nation. I live in the heart of Bills country.
Yeah, the
So
mafia, right?
the
Right in
mafia, right?
mafia
Yeah,
country.
yeah, the mafia. Yeah, I'm gonna break a table today. But anyways, Jeff. So what I'm saying is, even though we're so far apart, right? You're in Indiana, right? Um,
Yep.
you're a little over an hour away from Paycor. Still from Indiana. I'm from New York, obviously Western New York. But still, two guys that are that far apart that know each other really, really well. Um, Coming together to do a cool podcast about the Bengals. I think that it's an exciting time for me at least.
It is, and yeah, I'm in Indianapolis, heart of I don't know what they said, the horseshoe or whatever it is. Colts fans are really nice, so I don't have to deal with some of the stuff you deal
Yeah.
with Bills fans and Bills and Bengals. With Andrew Luck retiring, that really took the wind out of their sails. Sorry if there's any Colts fans on the line hearing that, but yeah, that changed things here. And I think, who are we? We talked about that, right? Why are we here? What are we doing? You know, I think it's big. It's cathartic, right, to talk about
Oh
after a
yeah.
game. Going
Yeah. I
into
mean, I
a Wednesday, a Friday, a Sunday to talk about it, and instead of going and having 5 or 6 Bud Lights, I can talk to you right here with a clear mind, and whether it went well or whether it didn't. This is a big season for the Bengals, right? I mean,
yeah.
coming up, and we're going to get into that the training camp special. But I think there's a lot of things going on. So just what are you looking forward to most to
Well,
get
I
out
just
of this
thought
podcast?
I wanted to back up
Yeah.
just for a second there because what you were talking about something that I was thinking about earlier. It's the obsession that we have for the Bengals, right? It's a therapy for us to talk and to vent, to get out here and talk about Houday Nation. Um, and it's also your and my and probably everybody else's most toxic relationship that we have, right? We have this obsession and this love for the Bengals, and but then we have like almost this toxic love-hate relationship, right? That we're at the year because there's going to be down the year, right? But it's like it's cathartic. It's therapy to get on here and talk with the Bengals fans, talk with you, like you said.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful to be here.
It's in right. Like there's so many people that do this, right? Like we're not the first, obviously, to do this, and it's nothing
Oh,
new. But
no,
I think I've been on Bengals Twitter recently, and it's just exhausting. It is absolutely
I know.
exhausting of comparing Joe Burrow to Lamar Jackson to Josh Allen to Patrick, but they're all good. They just all happen to be in the AFC, and only one of them can win. And so, like, I'm sick of all that. Right? Training camp's a week away. We could talk. We'll get into Shamar Stewart. If you don't know who that is, I don't blame you because he hasn't even played a snap in the NFL and he hasn't signed his contract. Trey Hendrickson, we'll get into his contract situation. All that coming next week. But
Yeah,
I
we
remembered,
love the Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart trying to kind of like, you know, uh, use that clause, that allows those unsigned rookies to re-enter the draft. I just love seeing. I mean, it's that stuff that's on Twitter, Jeff. I mean, I'm just so sick and tired of seeing that and talking about a guy who's not even played a snap of football or NFL football, to date. So yeah, that's something we'll get into down the road. But I've got a lot of feelings on that.
yeah, and I think like it's something like the history of our fandom with the Bengals, right? So we, my first memory was the Bengals Super Bowl in 1988, right? And the Tim
Mine too.
Krumrie
Yep.
broken leg and yours. So I think like that's kind of, and there's always been some sort of Shamar Stewart type of situation. And the Bengals were a punching bag our entire childhood, right? Like they were the butt of the joke in the 90s. Like they were a joke, Dave Shula, what Coslet, you name it, right? It was kind of a joke. And so as we got into being older, the Bengals were better, but they still are that punchline. Even in the national media today with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, all that stuff, that stain has not worn off. I guess I'd ask you, like, do you think that will ever wear off for the Bengals?
I
Because
don't.
it just seems like my entire life that
I
it's
don't.
always
I think
been
it's
that way, and they're just the butt of a joke, no matter if they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, no, I don't think that, because I think that you and I have differing opinions on this. Maybe we have the same opinion. I don't think we ever talked about this really. To me, personally, to the way I coach, the way that I watch football, the way I view things, I can tell you, man, unless you've won it, I
Yeah.
mean, there's only one team that's going to win, right? One team out of 32 teams are going to win this the Super Bowl, right? So when we're talking about national media and are we going to shake that ever and blah 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 blah, I think we do shake it. I think that we can. I don't think we can shake it now. We're in that
Yeah.
same era, right? So it never left us. But the only way we leave it, in my opinion, is win it. Put up or shut up. This is win time, baby. This is a year or 2 years of NFL football on the Bengals side that they have to win a Super Bowl. That
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
They do. And, as we get into next week in training camp, it's a big year for Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase had an amazing year last year, but they didn't win. Right? They had the Mike Tomlin special, the 9-8 record, and all that stuff, and that's all well and good. But having the run they did for the Super Bowl, and I was sitting in the room that I'm in right now by myself, alone, in tears when they lost the Super Bowl, because I thought we had reached that mountaintop. I was like, here we are, it's gonna happen. A Logan Wilson holding call, phantom out of nowhere, comes in on Cooper Kupp, and the next thing you know, Rams score a touchdown.
Little late nudge out of bounds too. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's being that close, right? And I equate it to, and Lauren, I know you're out there, the Pacers, right? It's kind of like like they were so close. And that was a different circumstance, right, with injury. But I think it's always been for every team I've ever rooted for, right? I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan. They did win it when I was 8 years old, but I wasn't like super into that team. Like I can't really say that I am, but the Bengals have always been a part of me. And then when you have a Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase that you get in back-to-back years and you go on a Super Bowl run, and then you go down a little bit and Joe has injuries and all that. I mean, does that make you become a bigger fan? Does that make you say, you know what, there's more important things in life than beating my head against the wall with the Bengals? Or are you as big a fan as you ever been of like, hey, we know what's in front of us, what this team can do?
Yeah, I think what you're basically asking is what is a fan feeling, right? Like what's that typical fan feeling like? I can tell you this. I think the way I feel is that, we can, you know, as fans, we can have certain expectations, right? And what's going to end up happening is when you have lost like that and you have all that past and stuff, it becomes like a baggage, right? Like, and so you either want to push through that baggage, right? Use it and push through it and go on to another year, which we've done, right? We've done that year after year after year after David Klingler, after Kajana Carter, after, I mean, come on, man, I could
Big
name years
Daddy,
and years and years of this, right? I mean,
Akili Smith, right? I mean, the
I
worst.
could go on for I could go on for an hour just on that. Okay. But I think that for people have that, right, they do set aside some of that and they're like, all right, you know what? I'm just moving. I got to move along. But people like us, it's in our veins. You can't move on. How many times have we had this conversation at halftime? No, we don't talk during a game, but after a game where you're so pissed off, right? And you're texting me and I'm texting you back. And I'm usually the guy that's like, all right, chill, man. We're all right. We're going to get there. We're okay. Think about this, think about that, right? And then you think, and then the next day you get back to me and you start talking about what you saw in the game, right? And that's those are our best conversations. But those people that put it aside, right? They put it aside because they've gone through the same shit as us. But at the same time, to me, that's not a fan. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. All right. When was the last time you saw us win? I mean, I've been
Yeah.
my entire life. I'm a Bengals fan, right? I mean, those are just good examples of the difference between, I think, people like in Cincinnati, right now, that are watching this or that may rewatch us or whatever. They know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I might be 398 miles away, but you swear to God, I'm at the freaking Holy Grail in 2 seconds if I could be.
Exactly, and that's what I was gonna say is like, does it make you feel like should we feel less of Bengals fans because we're not in the city, right? We're not a part of Cincinnati. Like I
Yep.
hear that sometimes on social media, and I'm like, you know what? Like I gotta buy the ticket to watch the damn team, right? Like I gotta invest money, whereas you can just turn on WLWT or whatever the case may be and
Yep.
watch the game sometimes. And so living away from it, and I'm much closer than you, right? I'm right down I-74. I can be at a game in an hour and 30 minutes if I'm pushing it. But like, yeah, I want to be at the Holy Grail. I was just there last week at the Reds game, right? So like
Yep.
to be there is big, but I mean, you're far away. You got to deal with the Bills Mafia. I mean, how do you deal with that? Because that's got to be
Uh,
like from
yeah, no, that's
right
yeah,
now until February.
and that's tough for me because and I'll get into a little bit about myself too. So I'm a school administrator. So I have literally 90 some employees, teachers and staff that are, you know, probably 80%, 90% Bills fans. So what do I hear every day? Right. But I just keep telling, I tune it out. I tune out the noise. It's hard to tune out the noise. The thing that gets me the most is you know, it's this year, every year, the preseason went great. We won 2 games. Look at this team. It's unstoppable. Well, okay, we got 14, 15 more games. I hear a lot of that. But then, my retort to most of it too is when's Allen beat Burrow?
Oh, there you go. All right.
They don't really have much to say to that. Plus, they come into my office and it looks pretty much like this too. So, they know what they're entering. A cool story though, Geoff. I got to tell you this,
Yeah.
and the viewers, listeners, whoever came into school the day before Super Bowl weekend, and all the teachers had made Who Day T-shirts, and they were all wearing Who Day T-shirts. That was pretty cool. So they
Yeah.
wore that all year, or they wore that all day. Big support. They showed big support. So in the playoff run, they had this run that they had this past year. I actually did wear Shady McCoy jersey to school one time.
Okay.
That's the first time anything Bills has ever touched this skin, and it's probably the last too. But it's just a
Okay.
show of support and respect back there. And there's something to be said between that too, right? I mean, how many things do the Bills and the Bengals actually share, right?
Yeah, a
I
lot.
mean,
I mean, Andy
I was
Dalton, Damar Hamlin, right? There's a lot of things. Yeah.
foundations,
Mhm.
epic games. The Bengals beating the Ravens to get the Bills into the playoffs. The Damar Hamlin game. I mean, I was there. I watched it at the 30
Yeah.
yard line. I was texting you during that game.
Yep.
Um, so all that connection, there really is a connection here. The thing is you get the same thing that we have in Cincinnati and any fan base is you have the loud, boisterous mafia, right? And then you have the level-headed people that are actually still thinking like you and I are. The problem is that noise, in my
Yeah.
opinion, that noise is so loud that it overshadows a lot of their crowd, which are pretty damn cool when you get to know them. I mean, these people came out and supported the Bengals, and they're diehard Bills fans, and they wore that to school. That was awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was great.
And
So I
that's
mean, that
yeah.
relationship there is there too. But does it get bad for me sometimes? Yeah. But I
And,
shut my
and
mouth
the other
because it's put up or shut
20%
up.
are Steelers. The other 20% are probably
Oh,
Steelers and Browns fans, right?
they're all Steelers or Browns.
Yeah. So
I
it's,
think
each
you
way
got to
you
sprinkle a
go.
Dolphin fan in there somewhere
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, I get pretty lucky. Colts fans are not that hard to deal with, and there are some Bengals fans around here.
Yeah.
So we did get a question in the chat from Greta, and we will get
Go
to
ahead.
this, Greta. We will get to this in our season preview, depending on what happens. But how are we feeling about our round 1 draft pick potentially going back to college to play football? I've got people texting me left and right about this. We will get there. Josh, I guess we'll touch on it while we're here. I mean,
Sure.
initially, like, do you feel like that's actually true, or that's just a lot of that loud noise coming? Like, hey, we gotta stir something up, and like, is this, what do you think there?
I think it'd be okay. So I think it'd be a really poor decision on his part. First off, okay, I think that'd be a poor business decision. We've had conversations about this before. I think somebody's making some poor decisions for him in some cases, and that happens a lot with high-profile people making a lot of money. But I also think that it's a scary thing for him to think, yeah, I got to re-enter college, right? And I'm gonna have to go through a whole season. I better hope my draft stock doesn't drop. I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts on that stuff I can share about that. I think as we get a little bit closer to training camp, because I think a lot of these things we're going to see resolved within the next week or so, Jeff, to be honest with you. Because once that clock hits, 12, I think the Bengals are under the gun to make the moves. I think that's when, Trey, Sir, I think that's when those guys actually have a bit of an upper hand, is right there at that crux of start of training camp where you're like, shit, do we do this? Do we not do this? Do we go in this direction? And then you got to make a decision. So that stuff we can't talk about, I don't think, until probably the start of training camp.
So Monday night, July 21st, about the same time, probably 9 o'clock Monday night, we'll do our training camp preview. And rookie mini camp is supposed to start Saturday. And if you watch, I think all first round picks are signed except for the Bengals. The Broncos started mini camp today. They signed their guy today. So the Bengals have. I mean, but I'll tell you, I mean, I've always said Mike Brown negotiates at knife point, and so does his daughter, and like they don't care. And I can promise you, Joe Flacco, my God. Trey Hendrickson. Yeah. We got a comment in the chat from Joe.
There's a shot. There's a shot right there.
Joe Flacco is starting against us week 1. I just, I think I have like COVID or something. My brain's not working well, but whatever. Trey Hendrickson not getting signed. If I'm Shamar Stewart, they're staring down Trey Hendrickson. They don't give a crap about you, right? Like if you want to go back and play at Texas A&M and lose millions of dollars, like,
right,
okay,
right.
Bro, we'll see you when you get here. What I will say is, as soon as he signs
go back, you're going to go back to Texas A&M. You're going to be like, you're going to be like Texas A&M fighting the contract.
You can't even actually
like it's a college student, like it's a college student, like dodging a group project or something like that. You know what I mean? So I mean, he can play that game if he wants, but I think also we hold the rights. We hold the rights next year. So there's a lot. There's a ton to get into there.
And Jordan says, let Stewart walk. I don't disagree. I like that. And I don't know where Joe Flacco came from, but you can tell I want to talk about football. But Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals front office will not let me. But we do have a couple things. So if you're new to Bengals fandom, mock turtle soup. Josh, you ever had mock turtle soup before?
No, but I am familiar. Go ahead.
So Monday, the media, we are not credentialed for this, but the media goes and meets with Mike Brown and Katie Blackburn, his daughter, and they're going to talk about probably Shamar Stewart, probably Trey Hendrickson, and Mike Brown's probably going to say, when Shamar signs, he'll get here. When Trey signs, he'll get here. But the team, hopefully, right? It's just basic stuff. Hopefully we got those guys signed by them. But there's drama. There's always drama with the Bengals. It doesn't matter whether they're 12 and 5 or 5 and 12. There's always drama. There's always off the field stuff. And I just wish, Katie Blackburn, I beg of you, like your dad's pushing 90, like we know he's probably not running the show. Please, can you just lighten up or let your granddaughters run the show for a little bit? Just look the other way. Go win the Super Bowl. Like give Shamar Stewart whatever. Like I just don't want the distraction. Like I don't disagree, but like let's do that for the 32nd pick next year and say, hey, take this language after we win the Super Bowl. Let's not do it now. Like, come on. We don't need the distraction.
Here's the thing too, Jeff. Like, and this is another big topic I go into, and I think we probably have dins on this. But I mean, whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that we finally like we constantly find ourselves with character flaws or project picks or things like that? Who are we talking about here? We're talking about Duke Tobin, right? Yeah. So I mean, when we're talking about Katie Blackburn and the family, right? I mean, we're obviously that's where everybody looks. I think, in my opinion, that's where we all look because we're looking at old Mike Brown, right? He's just crotchety old man, and he's not going to vote for rule changes, and like that's the view of him. But to me. I think that takes the light off of the true problem, and I think it's the draft. I mean, I don't think there's many Bengals fans that would argue with that. The way we drafted, first of all, has been putrid. You can't argue that.
Do you think they found something out about Shamar Stewart after the fact?
I do.
Like, I honestly do. Find out.
That's kind of what I'm alluding to here. I mean, I think that we draft. Let's just be honest. I mean, we do take risks. We took a risk on Burton. We took a risk on Mixon. We take risks, right? And that's a high risk low reward, right? Half the time. And it just seems like he constantly drafts in that fashion. And we've become accustomed to it, right? So then you're talking about the drama and why do I always feel this drama and stuff like that? I believe, I really do at its core, I think that it's a product of who are we drafting and who's doing the drafting and why are we drafting them? Yeah, they could have a super high ceiling, but guess what? 9 times out of 10 for Bengals fans, this hasn't ended well. I've seen this show before, right? This is on repeat.
Yeah. And I hate to I don't want to insinuate that Shamar, to my knowledge, Shamar Stewart hasn't done anything wrong.
No, no, no. I'm
He's
not
drawn a
saying that
line in the
either, Jeff.
sand. No, no,
No,
no.
he's
He's
put
drawn a
his
line
foot
in the
down,
sand. It's
but I
about
think
time to
that the
just say,
problem,
"Hey, you win." Like you
well,
win.
but
Show up.
here's the other part too. Okay, so you're not going to find me showering the Brown family with praise all the time, but when it's deserved, I do it. And I think that, in my opinion, I think he's got a brass set with the way he negotiates, and you can look at that as like an old school, like, oh man, but nowadays people just throw around money. To him, I really wish he would tell me exactly what he felt about like a Carson Palmer situation. Like,
Mhm.
he never really came out and said, "This is exactly how I feel, and this is how I do business." I'd love to hear what he has to say on that because although sometimes we question, no, a lot of the times we question the decisions he makes and the things that the turn and the way that the team goes are probably well warranted, right? But the way that guy negotiates, where he puts his, you want to talk about, Stewart putting a line in the sand. Don't put that line in the sand in front of Brown because he'll make you sit for 3 years. Look at Carson Palmer. He does not care about you.
Yeah.
He plays that game really tough, and it works sometimes or it doesn't.
The
And
only glimpse I think we've gotten into that was when Whitworth talked about the details where,
absolutely,
Mike Brown
that was
actually
the
came to
only
him and
time
said,
that they talked
"Hey,
about. Yes,
they
yep,
kind of screwed up, and like if you want to come
yep,
back for a year, like we'll do it." And he did it, and then
yep,
he walked. Like I think
yep.
that's the only thing. But it's, I guess I'd ask you this,
Besides that, I can't think of one. I can't think of one time that he's backed down
no,
from a contract
no,
ever. Even through the T stuff. Okay, I mean, yeah, they did pay T a lot of money, but I wanted T paid a lot of money. I'm one of those guys, and I know that there's opposite thoughts for some crazy people, but we had to pay T. We paid T. We paid Chase. We paid Gasicki. I mean, we paid a lot of people, right? So when we're talking about Stewart, and we talk in depth about this, I can make this a really serious conversation. But if we're being honest and we're thinking about who we're talking about, Brown, right? Brown is really thinking small potatoes. He's thinking Trey Hendrickson. This is where we're at. I got to get him to freaking camp. Stewart,
yeah.
okay. I
That's what I
mean,
was
I
gonna.
guess if that's your decision,
Yeah, and so when we sit here, 5 days from now, Monday night, and we're doing the same thing, season preview, training camp preview, if you will. Will
yep,
either of
yep,
those guys have a contract, Shamar Stewart or Trey Hendrickson?
yeah. I think Trey Hendrickson will.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
You're an
I do.
optimist. I'm
I'm an op. No,
saying
no. No, I'm not. I
no.
mean, I am an optimist. You know that. I am. I am. I'll say it. Okay. So everybody will know this every time you watch. I am glass half full. He's glass half empty. Just expect. Okay. But it levels out. Trust me. It fills the glass for y'all. But like, so again, I got to come at this from a different perspective, right? I'm not saying uh that I'm glass half full on this one. What I'm saying is that I think that the leverage is more. There's more leverage right now than there was before for Trey, because once people hit once they hit training camp, right, and once we
Mhm.
open up basically for business, all right, right then it's, put up or shut up, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to start seeing people go down, right? You're going to start seeing that cool dip, drop, dip, drop, dip, drop. If you don't think that, if I know that and you know that and everybody watching here knows that, I mean, then they know that. So what they're going to do is they're waiting for an opportune time where he has the most leverage, which makes sense at the beginning of training camp, right? It also makes sense to the Bengals because it's probably the only time I think that they could really negotiate with him at a reasonable time with a reasonable cost. I think they may. I think they may actually save money on him. I do.
I hope you're right, and I hope it's not we're on the charter to Cleveland and Trey Hendrickson hopefully he gets a deal. And then we're not sitting here talking about, well, Trey Hendrickson, he was gassed, he wasn't any good, and we lost to the Browns, like all that stuff. So again, that's the pessimist of like, oh, we signed him, September 5th, and he plays 12 snaps, sucks, and we get beat. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it is. And so as we kind of wrap up, and we'll move it to Monday, but I think like Greta, you ask a great question, and I think we'll build upon that as we get into the preview show next week. So we'll put a placeholder in this, but I think it's a great question. And so I want to address it a little bit here is with Joe Burrow entering the first year of his extension, will the team capitalize on his prime and make a deep playoff run, or will they continue to fall short of expectations? And I mean, what a question.
That's a deep question, Jeff.
It's a deep cut. And as a pessimist traditionally, Joe Burrow's won me over. So, I mean, I think they will. I think they figure out a way to get the stuff done because they can score 35 every week, healthy. And every team in the league knows that. Even on the best defenses, they can get to 30. So it will come down, and Greta will get to where, like, I think it has to happen on the other side of the ball with Al Golden and all the things that they've got to do defensively. But, that'll get, as we get into the season preview and predictions, we'll make our prognostications. I have where I think I'm going, but I'm hesitant, Josh, to even during training camp, like check Twitter, social media, nothing. I almost just want to just come to the show and be like, tell me what happens, but I know I can't do that. So, but yeah, season preview. I do want to take care of some logistical things. So if you can, for those of you listening on podcast form, follow us, Jungle Theater Podcast on anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and Amazon most likely is where you listen. At Jungle T Podcast on X.com, or formerly known as Twitter. And then on Instagram, Jungle Theater Podcast. And that's our name everywhere else. So go out and look for us there. Give us a like on YouTube if you're liking this stream, or go and subscribe to this, just because that helps us, right? The more people we have that subscribe, the more likes we get, the more people that maybe see this, the more maybe we can make our way into being the voice of Who Dey Nation, because there's a lot of people that drive me crazy. There's a lot of great people there, but man, it gets tiresome. So I think we're bringing a fresh, new perspective. And, I think, again, just wanted to get some logistical things out of the way. And I think, Josh, this is good to kind of let the people know who we are, where we came from, where this derived from, when we actually got this off the ground. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? And to the person in the chat, we will not talk about the James Cook contract saga. That's a more NFL podcast. So maybe go over and talk to Andy Young on
it's an NFL Films. That's what it is. It's NFL Films. That's all day.
Yeah, Andy Young will get you everything you need in Buffalo End Zone, Buffalo podcast. Sure. They'd be happy to help you.
I sure hope he would too. So I did, a couple things, parting shots here for a second. So there's three things I wanted to talk about, Jeff, and then I'll let everybody go. We have to have a signal, some kind of signal while we're doing these like this, like, Josh, shut up, you got to stop talking. Because that's how it rolls. But right back here, if everybody can see the white rail right back here, that will be for our first podcast. It'll say times Geoff was wrong, and I will keep a tally of each time that Geoff has been wrong. Okay, just to keep track, because sometimes I lose track. The other thing that I really think that needs to be talked about or brought up or looked at, and if you haven't checked this out, make sure that you do. Keep an eye on a sleeper with Rivers. I mean, what Orlando Brown is pouring and praise on him. He just loves him. He's basically
Jalen Rivers, Miami draft pick, late draft pick, can play all positions.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that was kind of my point. Is like, that doesn't go on that wall. That's like a erased. You just use the magic eraser for that guy. But you called that one. I think that's going to be a key. I think it's a linchpin I think we have a huge gaping hole there. I think we did a couple things that maybe address the offensive line. Obviously, it's something that we're going to get into a lot deeper. We could talk about 50 different NFL topics with the Bengals, that pertain to right now. But I also think that we would be remiss, Geoff, if we got out of here without telling people that, also that we have a few connections. I think it's important for people to know that you should probably expect some guests on here if we can get enough subscribers and we can get big enough. We do know some people that we'd like to have on the show, and we'll keep that a secret for now. But we do have some special stuff planned, so I can't wait for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we call a tease in the business, right? We got to make some texts and
it's a
phone
tease.
calls and bring
But
some
I'm
things
gonna
through.
go ahead and do this right now, Geoff. You can hold. I do this right now. I'm just gonna start right now.
Okay, how many we at so far? We'll know Monday night when Shamar Stewart hasn't signed his contract, so you can erase that when he's still sitting in College Station, Texas, with an unsigned contract. I do not think he's going to play college football this year, but people are texting me right now about it that are not Bengals fans, and I'm like literally 3 times today. The story from 2 days ago, I'm like, it's only July 16th and we got a long way to go. But with that said, thanks everybody for tuning in. First episode of Jungle Theater. We'll be back Monday night live. Check this out in the podcast form. Share it with your friends. Give us a like and subscribe. Really appreciate you all. And everybody have a great night.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Take care.